Shiva Rea. I'm a global prana vinyasa teacher, a movement alchemist, and a yoga energy activist for the earth.
So I'm here with our longtime friend, Shiva Rea, and my question might sound like a serious one, but it's kind of a fun one.
Okay.
And you can see the fun on your face.
Yes.
It's a cheerful one.
Yes.
So
bring it on.
In a world where gas prices are low, we have pretty good lives, we're driving our Avalanche to yoga class. Why would we actually want to, not just need to, begin to care about indigenous rights or equality or our environment? In your own life and experience, how did your path evolve?
Well, my waking up to the importance of how we experience and participate in the ecosystem that we're involved in really came when I went to live in East Africa when I was 17 to do volunteer work, because I was kind of, I would say, a cynical, disillusioned teenager. And I lived in an earthen hut, and I was just so happy. I could not believe how happy I was carrying water. Most people live on about 4 gallons of water a day for everything, drinking, cooking,
How
bathing.
much do we consume?
Well, we
average
flush, most people flush 4 gallons of water with down the toilet.
In one flush?
In one flush. And if you have a low flush toilet, 2.5 gallons.
Yeah, I have low flush, but
Right,
that doesn't make me feel good right now.
right. But you
Yeah.
know what I mean? So I actually really felt this basic thing of connectedness, which I think sometimes we value interpersonally. And then when we start to really feel that connectedness as the elemental body that we know our body is made of, there's a grounding, and there's then this waking up. As we know, we hear of climate change. Some communities are already really feeling climate change with intensity, and some it's still,
Yeah.
you know, it's pathetic that it's speculative for some people, but for some people it's still abstract.
Well, right here in the Rockies, Republicans have really come around because we've lost something like 12 million acres to the pine beetle, which is a direct result.
Right.
And suddenly they're like, where's our trees? You know?
Exactly. So we don't want to wait until, well, we are at this brink, as we know. And I think the positive aspect of it is that waking up, and for me, the basic shift in terms of climate change is to rapidly shift from toxic fuel sources to renewable energy. And that as a metaphor, particularly for yoga practitioners, what's a toxic thought? What's a toxic emotion? We can actually feel that. We can feel the toxic effects of stress. Our taste in our mouth changes, becomes kind of bitter. Same with thoughts or emotions that are regressive or toxic. We have that same thing. So it's like caring for that entire circle, and that's simply from, it's so beautiful, the Buddhist leaders, just that very basic thing. We're happier. We are happier when we're not wasting water. There's something when we're just wasting water, where there's just this leaking of that value, that preciousness. When, I know you're a great cyclist, advocate. I love to cycle. Living in the Los Angeles area isn't so practical, but I haven't bought, I have an electric car powered by my solar house, so I know the energy source. We live above a 6,000-year-old Chumash village that's a protected space. And for me, the deepest shift in terms of living in Los Angeles, most people think of LA as like Babylon, the concrete jungle, is it has actually the largest state park in a metropolitan area than any of the 48 states. And so when we find out about not only our ecosystem, but the indigenous people who are alive and well and carrying the knowledge of the community, that whether it's been paved over or it's still breathing, connecting to that deepens everything that we are cultivating in yoga. A standing pose, you really feel the earth because it's not abstract. we go and support in our Via Light Solar Lantern project. We go to the Chumash village, and they have the traditional huts. We have done retreats there where we sleep in the huts around, open fire, just using solar lanterns, giving solar lanterns to kids who are homeless, who have light issues. There's 2 billion people in the world who are using toxic kerosene lamps because there's no more forest to chop down for wood. And so solar, exactly,
it's horrible for their lungs.
It's the equivalent of smoking 4 packs of cigarettes a day.
So in our last minute, and I would love to talk more, I know you have to go to class, but what are a couple, I don't want to just say concrete things that everyone watching this could do, but why would people out there who don't consider themselves environmentalists or care about it organic or wasting water or whatever, I mean, again, we're, at least in the US, we can waste and kind of not feel the effects of that. Why should we want to be a little more environmentally responsible from a feminist or from a equality point of view?
Well, let's just take it from the basic sense that we become kind of numb to waste. We become kind of numb. And the strange thing in the United States, of all the toxic energy that we create, we only have 10% renewable right now. We waste 54% of it. So we have like a wastewater system. At first I was trying to it's quite expensive to establish a wastewater. You just take a pot and you put it in the other side of your sink, and when you're rinsing something out, rather than just throwing it down, you put it in your pot, and then you water all your plants. Same thing, we take a shower, or if we take a bath, which is like a luxury, you save it. Instead of taking new water, you just take a bucket. It's nothing complicated. You flush your toilet from your bath water. And the thing is it's like stopping the unconscious waste.
Or you can toss the water in your garden if it's no soap.
Exactly, right. And so you start to, you feel better. I mean, it's just so simple that there's something where we kind of get used to this waste.
And none of that
society
requires us to be a yuppie or to be wealthy. And often a criticism of the green thing is like, who has time for that? Who has money for that? It can be little actions all day long.
Exactly. And then, supporting local farmers. For me, it just feels, and I'm all for we go for 90%. If it's something that makes us too tight, then there are other repercussions.
Well, it's the toxic thing, as you were saying. If you're feeling toxic anger, then you can actually heal that by being environmentally responsible or socially aware. And if you're being toxic about being environmental or socially aware, then maybe you need to look at that.
Yeah, it's a thing that I think our body actually gives us feedback. So I think the simplest thing is that you feel better.
Back to yoga.
Exactly, you feel better not because I'm a great environment, because we're stopping that unconscious waste, the place where we're actually checking out, because the ridiculousness of the packaging. When we take out our trash, we basically have our recycling is huge, and we try and compost everything, and we barely have any trash. And that feels good, but I also can see I could go to one more level.
Recycling is still
the part of it, but how to feel that as a positive challenge rather than some kind of self-flagellating thing. We have to keep buoyant and energetic. We have to keep buoyant and energetic for this journey that is going to be an extraordinary journey over the next couple of decades.
Well, I think
because we have to shift.
That.
We have to shift.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to talk to you about this because you walk your talk, which is the name of our little talk show series, in a joyful way. And what I always say to people, at least for myself, is that it is joyful. The mindful life, which is our slogan with Elephant Journal, is fun. It's not a guilt trip.
Exactly.
And you can feel bad very briefly, just as a matter of reflection, and then move forward.
Or do something from that feeling.
Empathy.
Do some feeling. Something with that feeling.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Shiva.
Yeah,
and we'll put more info about your project.
Yeah,
so
cool. Yeah.
Folks can get involved.
And it's a solar lamp project where people anywhere in the world, we give them the direct contact, and so everything is 100%. When people give a donation for lamps, it's local and global. And there's no other administrative costs, and it's just people to people. So I take lamps with me wherever I am. I see someone who's living just under the sky, and you can just give it to someone directly. You don't have to wait for some organization. You can just do it yourself.
A yoga teacher who doesn't just care about her career. Shiva Rea.
Oh, exactly. Let's
Thank
chop
you.
that up in a
Yeah.
1,000 pieces.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.